Welcome to video 3 about habits toward the goals. How many times have you set goals and did not follow through? If there are many times, do not feel bad because I'm just like you. Many people often struggle with staying motivated to pursue their goals. Goal achievements can be challenging. But there is such a value in following through with the goals you set in our last video about leisure, mental health, and well-being, because they should make your lives better. So what do we do? A key factor for goal achievement is to develop habits that keep us moving towards our goals. That way, there would be less procrastination related to our goal pursuits. What do we mean by habits? Habits are the tendencies to respond automatically to cues that leads to a certain behavior. Habits are the things we do without really thinking about them. The question is, how can we create habits that help us pursue our goals? There are several factors that help forming habits: rewards, emotion, behavior complexity, frequency, and cues. First, we would repeat the same behavior when it is rewarded with something, such as compliments from others and getting paid. However, such external rewards would make us extrinsically motivated for the behavior. And when the reward is eliminated, we tend to lose our interest in the behavior. On the contrary, intrinsic motivation, or considering the behavior itself as the reward, helps foster habits more sustainably. Good news is that many leisure experiences associated with our goals should be very intrinsically rewarding, fun, relaxing, and interesting. If not, it's important to think about whether it's possible to incorporate behaviors that we genuinely enjoy in our goal pursuits. Say our leisure goal is to try one new recreation activity every week. But that itself may not be so intrinsically rewarding for us because we feel a little nervous about trying different things. Then we may ask our friend who can try all those activities with us. We can enjoy the time spent with this friend, so this arrangement makes our goal pursuit intrinsically rewarding. We must also recognize that some goal pursuits are just not intrinsically rewarding, at least at the beginning. Suppose you aim to do more physical activities to reduce your sedentary time, expand your leisure repertoire, and enhance your mental health. But you feel that exercise is not your thing yet. Now, what can we do? We can use something called internalization, or the process through which we shift our extrinsic motivation into intrinsic one. To do so, we have to understand that there are shades of extrinsic motivation. There are subtypes within extrinsic motivation, and some of them are closer to intrinsic motivation in terms of its effect than others. On one hand, there is external motivation, which is where we are motivated to do something because others told us to do so. Next is introjected motivation. This is when we do something because otherwise we would feel guilty. External and introjected motivations are not where we want to be. Now, moving closer to intrinsic motivation, we have identified motivation, with which we understand the value of certain behavior. Lastly, closest to the intrinsic motivation is called integrated motivation, meaning that a certain behavior is part of who we are, clearly aligned with our personal values. Integrated motivation does not mean that we enjoy the behavior, but the action is so ingrained in us that doing it feels very natural to us. Identified and integrated motivation are the place where we want our goal pursuit behaviors to be when intrinsic motivation is not possible. To facilitate internalization, the process to move closer to integrated motivation from the external side, we must be clear about the benefits of certain goal to our leisure, mental health, and well-being. Review our materials and perhaps even do a quick personal research to help you feel more convinced about the value of your goals. Also, actually engaging in the goal pursuit behavior can help you see the value of it. All of these should help you achieve identified motivation. As to integrated motivation, it is important to consider our personal values and find the behaviors aligned with them as pathways to our goals. We discussed values in Module 5. Values are like internal compasses we use to make our life decisions. Some examples of values include self-development, family, creativity, freedom, and service. I will put the link to the website that listed extended list of values. What are your values? And then try to draw connections between your values and goal pursuit. Perhaps originally you thought that exercise is not your thing, but then you might realize that you value, say, self-development and self-care, both of which are actually aligned with the values of doing physical activities. This type of mental exercise helps us further internalize originally extrinsically motivating behaviors. Related to the issue of rewards and motivation is emotion. Research shows that we tend to develop habits around the behaviors which makes us feel positive. This means that if we incorporate some of the positivity techniques we learned in Module 7, we might be more successful in establishing new habits. These techniques included savoring, gratitude, mindfulness, and relaxation. Review them if you're not sure. Also important to consider is the complexity of behaviors. The simpler the behavior, the easier it is for us to develop a habit around it. So divide your goal pursuit behavior into a series of simple acts. Say your leisure goal is to learn some Japanese language so you can enjoy animes and mangas in original languages. But learning a new language is a complex activity. You could start with, say, subscribing to one Japanese learning YouTube channel and watching one short video during each lunch. Watching a video and mimicking pronunciation is very simple. Once this simple behavior is habitized, you would have quite a few vocabulary, so that you may feel motivated to do more complex activities such as talking to a Japanese friend with some Japanese sentences. Lastly, two other factors that influence our habits are frequency of behavior and cues. Research supports a simple fact. The more often we engage in a certain behavior, the more likely it will become part of our habits. And to increase the frequency of our behavior, setting up the right cues is important. Cue is a trigger of our habitized behavior. For example, I have a lunch and that leads me to take a multivitamin. Cues are about the sequence of behaviors. And this sequence is also called cue architecture. How do we set the correct cues? Research suggests that cues should be natural and logical. Natural here means that they're part of our daily routine. For instance, a sticky note is actually not really a natural cue because when we lose the note, our behavior is likely to go away. Use something that you do almost always as cues. For example, you wake up and have a breakfast. You can use this breakfast as a cue to the next behavior you want to habitize, say quick morning yoga. But now we have to consider if this is a logical sequence or not. Perhaps you would find it difficult to do some yoga poses right after eating. So it may be more logical to wake up, have a glass of water, and then do yoga. And after that, you can have a breakfast. Also, this way, your cue, which is now having a glass of water, would happen more often in your day than having breakfast. Frequent cues are often better for habit formation. Before finishing this video, it's crucial to note that there might be some habits we already have that are counterproductive for our pursuit of goals related to leisure, mental health, and well-being. For example, we would like to start eating healthier for better health and well-being, but we might have a habit of snacking after dinner. This is actually me. If this is a habit, it's important to think about what is causing our automatic responses of snacking. Often, it is easier for us to blame things like stress for undesirable habits. How many times have you heard people describing themselves as, "Oh, I am a stress eater"? But research shows that cues are often external and very tangible. For example, we might find that we snack right after dinner, especially when we eat our dinner so quickly. So, we may try to chew food more slowly and say we have to chew 30 times before swallowing, which makes our eating speed slower and may reduce our urge to snack. Undesirable habits are breakable. Heightened awareness around habits is the key. In this module about habits for meaningfulness, we learn about various experiences that make our leisure more meaningful. We also worked on goal setting related to our leisure, mental health, and well-being. If you have not done so, this is a good time to finish drafting your goals. Once you identify your goals, take one of them. We will build a cue architecture around that goal. Now think of what behavior would help you get closer to that goal. Suppose my goal is to enhance my sleeping quantity and quality by getting to sleep by 11 p.m. I could employ a few behaviors to achieve this goal. First, I may develop a habit of stretching every night. Now, what would be a natural and logical cue for this behavior? I could use shower every night. After taking a shower, I would stretch to feel relaxed and increase my sleeping quality. Another habit that prevents me from achieving the goal may be a long screen time, especially at night. I observe my life and realize that I check my phone or watch Netflix when I have nothing to do after dinner. So I may buy a few books I wanted to read and put them on a table in a living room so that after I finish my dinner, I can start reading them instead of using devices. Try your cue architecture at least for 3 days and tell us how it went on a discussion forum. What's your goal and your goal pursuit behavior? And what is your cue architecture? Did the behavior get any easier after a few days? And anything else?